Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Earthlock Festival of Magic, played on PlayStation 4, currently the only physical copy available. But it is available digitally for PC and Xbox One, and was even a freebie through Xbox Games with Gold in September of 2016. Aside from a children's interactive app, Norwegian developer Snowcastle Games currently doesn't have any other credits to their name. In fact, Earthlock was the product of a Kickstarter campaign. Earthlock Festival of Magic is a turn-based RPG set in a world called Umbra. The main protagonist is a desert scavenger named Amon, who gets involved in a fight against a secret plot to destroy the world. In old-school RPG fashion, Amon finds new allies and enemies as he treks across the overworld map, stopping in various cities and dungeons to continue the plot. The combat in Earthlock takes a slightly different spin than games that have come before it. There are some common basics, like it being turn-based with a visible Q on the right side of the screen. Each character has pretty distinctively different classes that come with two stances. For example, Amon the Thief has a gun mode and a stabby mode, and has abilities for each. The healer can switch stances to buff mode, the scout can crossbow or lay traps, etc. To change stance, it does take a small turn, resetting that person in the queue. A new concept to me is pairing party members together. While characters are paired, they build a bond with each other, and each command you give them fills a meter. When full, the pair can use bond points to execute special versions of their normal attacks for bigger results. As the characters are used more and more together, their bond points to spin in combat increases, and it unlocks special talents that include buffs and skill points. Earthlock doesn't deal in traditional menus in combat either. All abilities are mapped to buttons before going into battle. Pressing up on the controller will switch you between the two possible mappings for abilities. Left is your items, right is utilities, and down is the special bond moves. One of the nicest things they've set up is pressing the mapped button once will show you the description of what you're about to do. If you want to confirm, you just press the same button again as opposed to using something like X to merely confirm. I don't doubt this saved me a couple times from executing the wrong move, and in some situations in the game that makes all the difference. In place of the usual magic points, or MP, Earthlock uses Amri. Every character gets a block of Amri every turn and starts with 3 to 4 at every battle. Moves take different amounts of this resource, and if you're spent, and you don't want to use just the one gain on that turn by itself, you can rest that turn to regain more. You can see enemy avatars on both the overworld and local maps. When noticed, they'll begin pursuit. A counter of how many you're about to engage with, as well as a circle timer around it, will start to fill up in the lower left corner. If you can get enough distance between you and the mob before the timer fills up, you can avoid battle. If you press the X button while that counter is active, your party gets first attack. If you collide with the enemy, it engages in battle according to speed stats. And if the enemy fills up the timer without you getting away, it's considered an ambush and they get the first turn. Killing enemies will give your party experience, sometimes currency, called Daler, and often drop various ingredients. The experience gain relies heavily on multipliers derived from special situations, most commonly how outnumbered your party is. So when possible, you'll be trying to track groups of 8 at once to ever actually make a dent in the experience needed for the next level. Enemies will eventually stop giving you experience when you're too high of a level, but it doesn't mean they won't still chase you. As you level up your characters, they gain talent points, which is the real method of customization in Earthlock, as there aren't any weapons or armor to purchase or equip. Each talent point lets you place a talent card on the character's grid, which gives abilities, stat upgrades, and perks. Cards can be traded out at any point for others, which essentially lets you respec characters on the fly when necessary. For example, I faced one boss that delivered heavy electricity damage, and that was all he did. Subbing out regular armor cards, which increase physical defense, for some resilience cards, which increase magic defense, as well as popping in some Earthmaster perks which increase resistance to electrical damage, made the boss fight easier. Actually, I should say it made the boss fight doable. That's one of the key mechanical differences with Earthlock. This isn't a game where you're mashing the X button to just attack, attack, attack. There's a level cap of 20, and enemies you run into at that point require strategy even more because you can't overpower them. Now, I think the system is great, but even hitting enemy weaknesses at times didn't feel like I was doing the damage that I would expect to do. This made a lot of normal run-the-mill battles seem to take forever at times, especially because of the numbers you have to take on in order to get the experience that makes a difference, like I said. I barely did any grinding and I hit that level cap a couple of dungeons before the end, which, fighting from that point, was kind of a drag without the experience rewards. There were moments in battle where the Unity game engine seemed to stall or think for a bit longer than seemed necessary too. Especially this one talent where the enemy attempts to hit a character and misses, that character will then get an extra action next time it's their turn. For some reason in between those two actions, the game kind of sits there for a moment too long, or sometimes the results of an attack action will be done before the character animation has even begun. Now there are several fast travel points all around the world, and there's a hub island where all of these fast travel points connect you, called Plum Island. This serves as a home base for the party and includes a talent crafting altar, an inn to rest, a shop with ingredients, a garden, and a workshop. The talent crafting altar lets you take the ingredients you've obtained, and if you have the recipe for something, craft perk cards for your talent tree. The garden is a place you can plant seeds and harvest them every 10-15 seconds, and make sure they have the proper amount of water. Plants will level up and produce bigger yields, and some will even mutate and give you the stronger version of it to start all over again. The main purpose of these plant ingredients is to construct the ammo used by 2 of the characters in the aforementioned workshop. You can also combine things with jars of water purchased from the shop to make healing potions and other curatives. Earthlock does shine in its dungeon design, with most having a unique mechanic, not just get from point A to point B. A few have puzzles that revolve around Amon's bracelet, killing colored lanterns within an area, and using their light to activate switches of the same color. One dungeon involved taking a train through and spinning and raising and lowering platforms and clearing enemies off the track to get it through. There's really only one set of side quests that I discovered, and that's hunting down 4 optional boss-type creatures for Frog Boy, the custodian of Plumpet Island. If you fight the creatures as you reach him, they'll give you a little bit of a run for your money, and their sole purpose is to be captured and brought back to Plumpet Island, where you can feed them treats to get them to produce the elemental cores used in talent construction. Of course, the only ones I really needed extra of were earth cores, and the little guys were fire, electric, air, and ice, so I was out of luck anyway. I am a little confused about the subtitle, Festival of Magic, for this game. It's like calling the first Halo, the Pillar of Autumn, named after the first stage, or Final Fantasy VII, Assault on Fort Condor, a minigame held within. This Festival of Magic takes place closer to the end of the game, and it's basically a tournament-style event where you have 5 rounds of enemies, and you have to defeat them in as few battles as possible. You have to do a smaller regional one and then a main one to progress the story, but can return to it later if you'd like. Now, unless I missed something, it really wasn't that big of a plot driver at all, and I just kept waiting for the festival to have some kind of major narrative impact. Earthlock has a fairly unique art style, and everything looks hand-painted. It definitely has the Unity engine look and feel, for better and worse. The overworld music is the same melody as you travel to various regions, but it will pick up different instruments and emphases to match your location, which is a nice touch. I'm all for more turn-based RPGs in this day and age, and they try to tell us it's a dying breed. Earthlock, in its 18 or so hours, brings some interesting new things to the genre, with a strategy-focused battle system, diverse dungeon mechanics, gardening, its talent system, only hindered by its early feeling level cap, sometimes frustrating manner of calculating experience rewards, and it could have done with a bit more side content. Rated as a turn-based role-playing game, Earthlock Festival of Magic hits a 51 out of 100 on a true 1 to 100 scale, with 50 being an average game. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. As always, feel free to subscribe or follow me on Twitter @Umbra Games.